A man stands on top of a hill outlined by a dark sky, his arms outstretched, his silhouette briefly looking like a priest about to perform a sacrifice. The clouds seem to be preparing for battle. In the gaps between them, unfathomably distant suns glow like flowers or like shards of glass on velvet. The land below also shimmers, as if its web of lights are reflecting the sky. The shadowy man's darkened ideas are lost among each sharp points of the void. He stares out at the universe as if each grain of thought is falling away to a vanishing point, or perhaps he's contemplating his destiny as if it's coming crashing down from the night, like he's being shot by some celestial huntsman to fall in flames down to earth. All the way down. Trapped on earth, he thinks. He continues to think. We climb up all our lives just to escape the pain of realizing that all we create and do will inevitably drift away on time's flow. It's all destined for dust. But if we relax, life flows through us, and in one whispering pirouette is gone. So we must act, ultimately only for the sake of acting. One sells one's soul for nothing these days, it seems. It's such a bitter draught, too. He laughs to himself. I'm trying to build a business venture as a fortress against the world's decay. They ought to lock me up. It is madness to try to protect yourself from the world, isn't it? What are you going to make your shield out of, for a start? Nevertheless, the history of the world is the human race trying to escape the world it creates in its attempts to escape it. It's all insane, and I can hear the scream of the dying world even now. Well, I'm going to do something about it, even if no one else will. A sudden kiss of rain on the wind surprises him. He squints to take in the detail of the world below. The lights of the cars look like blood cells circulating as their drivers follow their own visions of heaven home. He can just discern the black fungus of trees outlined against the deep grey of the skies and hill. Through a gap he can see the lights in the town. I bet there's not a hilltop in England where you can't see artificial light from some direction, he thinks. And I'm part of it, part of a quiet destruction we're pursuing as relentlessly as gravity. To his delight he sees a shooting star, and imagines it proclaiming, "Coming soon, the end of the world as we know it." Ha! That's old news. I'm just selling shoddy ways of keeping the doomed dreams of challenging destruction alive. Aptly, the cogwheels of a church clock click into place somewhere down the valley, and the hour of midnight is struck. The knells drifting through the darkness seem borne to his mind on owl's wings. But this is a good vantage point to look over the land around the mansion, under the sky, on top of his own mini-Mount Olympus. Dan finds it easy to convince himself he has a mission to conduct light to Earth. This empowers his ego. The plan is to ensnare hearts and minds in a gossamer electronic web which will eventually cover the globe. Through that web, he plans to signal an urgent but democratic need for global change, and create a power vacuum for receiving that need. When he's ready, he'll lever himself into the space of power he's created. He studies the scarred sky, silver piercing the depths of night. No lightning strike comes. Dan's trying to locate the planet's satellite. It's already bouncing test signals around the country in practice market penetration. Perversely, his technology makes this ecologist proud. I fund the highest refinement of civilization, one of the most sophisticated and powerful artifacts created by man. My own island in the information superhighway in the sky, he gloats. Every company should have one. Hey, did one of those points of light just wink at me? But concentration's burning low in Dan's mind, so he enjoys a last survey of the universe beyond his distribution network. Ha! And I once thought I could break through the barriers of space and time, and if I kept moving, through the pearly gates. After that fall from hope, everything seemed minor. Dan shivers and tugs his jacket tight around him, turning up the collar before sliding down a bank of crumbling clods, negotiating moss and twigs in a slalom descent. He crunches across gravel towards the beacon of car headlights. The Porsche is waiting in emanations of light. It's white with silver trim and has a silver emblem of the company Sphinx as the figurehead. Not quite a spaceship, but close, and the design pedigree is immaculate. Nice, Dan thinks. The last sentiments are also what he thinks about the car's occupant. I don't know why Sophia wants to pick me up herself. Maybe she just wants to talk, he ponders. His wife's gazing at nothing out of the passenger window, sucking a nicotine-free vape, undoubtedly with a hint of mocha mint or perhaps something more spirited. They bought the company so that they could put a variety of Sphinx messages on the packs and market them to the vapors with ironic apocalyptical graphics. As Dan opens the door, he smiles at Sophia. Then with a click he places himself safe from the dubious spell of the night. To Dan, Sophia Blake looks like a Da Vinci angel with a light olive complexion offset with cherry red lips. Tonight she has raven hair where it isn't tinted, although even the darkest black seems to have a hint of blood red. She seems to Dan composed of hints. Her pupils are wide enough to swallow any sight the darkness yields. Did it look inspiring, she asked, gazing both razor-sharp and panther-like through practiced aristocratic cool. An insistent beat from the radio infiltrates the air between them. Her lips glisten. Yeah, thanks for picking me up, Sophia, Dan responds. How's the patient, he asks. Just fine, Dr. Blake replies. Should have some interesting dreams tonight. She clicks off her non-nicotine. She prods him gently. His mind switches suddenly on to reality as he opens his eyes, to see Sophia looking at him in wry amusement. I'm sorry, I was drifting. Weigh your anchor on planet Earth for a few minutes, at least until we get back to the house, will you, darling? Sophia lifts her handbag from the footwell. After fishing among her designer junk for a few seconds, she pulls out another carton of non-nicotine fuel, fixing it and drawing in the silver vapors. She flicks the window button to wind the glass down a few more inches, and points the burning cylinder in the approximate direction of the gap. At least the cold air should wake him up. Yeah, excellent, Dan mumbles. I feel this is somewhere we can get really tangled up in history. It's a real hot spot for the coming light. It'll be a lighthouse. He starts the engine and they start moving. We've still got a long way ahead of us, Sophia states, bringing both their thoughts round to the work they still have to do, even to get their goals in sight. Dan ruffles his already random black hair, ritualistically scraping it backwards from his forehead with his fingers. His cobalt eyes are still looking for sleep. He replies, I think the world's our oyster. That's lovely, Sophia replies. Then she laughs with an inkling of their future in her eyes and jokes. We're broadcasting to the whole world from the middle of rural nowhere. At least the scenery's nice, in the daytime. Well, isolation has its advantages and disadvantages, he says. Non-nicotine fumes start to permeate his space. He switches his own window down. Sucking in long, fresh breaths, he considers his world, now from ground level. They're in a fast car in a country lane in the middle of the country, in the middle of the night, in the middle of a screwed-up summer, in the middle of a large country estate bought by Sphinx to set the next stages of the grand design in motion. Daniel Jones is also in the middle of trying to avoid an early midlife crisis. Sophia leans over the seat divide and kisses him on the cheek, leaving a bright lipstick stain. Personally, I think it's all going wonderfully, she says. He continues, but here at least we have privacy, and something approaching fresh air. Sophia looks away, focusing on the vague nothingness speeding past her own open window. She speaks as if to the night. I can imagine us reaching out across Britain from here, across Europe too. Now, soon. Eventually this will be a media centre for the whole world. Then it'll be busy. But for now, no one will bother to come out this far to peep over our walls with cameras, Dan reasons. I have always wanted a big garden, Sophia concedes. Yeah, I bet you always wanted to have groups of freedom fighters practicing bomb-setting skills in your garden, too. There's nothing more gratifying than watching the special effects for your own programs being created in the genteel surroundings of your own mansion. Both laughed dryly at this, as behind their faces the wheels of their ambitions whir. It's not warm enough to be romantic, unfortunately, Dan muses. Maybe I should have thought ahead, got the groundsman to get some bonfires burning or something. Sophia smokes and poses still, as with undipped headlights Dan unconsciously slaloms curves in the unlit road. He's never sure what she really thinks of him. He thinks she's extremely intelligent and very beautiful, but not rich, while he's quite intelligent and extremely rich, but not beautiful. What are you thinking? He asks. She leans to kiss him on the cheek again. How's that? I'll give you an A for that. She smiles, then asks seriously, chewing her lip, Dan, do you really think it'll work? Who knows? Nothing ever works out just the way you plan, Dan qualifies. But as Bismarck said, the secret of statecraft is to find the footprints of God through history and step into them. If chance, or God, provides a fair wind behind us, we might just force our way through history to sustainability. Like I say, we'll surf the waves and see how far we can flow. But forget history. Don't you get high just looking at the income projections? Sophia is contemplating other facets of what she's investing in. She replies, keep them eco-entertained and drugged up. That's how to control the modern masses. I'm always amazed that no one's deeply mined this demographic before. Somehow, though, calling our clientele druggy eco-warriors doesn't seem to respect them, Dan corrects. Thoughtful post-postmoderns, I think, is the label that marketing's using for our target audience. Let us say our content is for anyone who's aware of media influences on their thinking, as well as all the consumerist and other influences on the whole planet. Yeah, we're not just playing music videos, we're making ideologically aware programming, Sophia continues, parodying the tone of their own propaganda. Or maybe our angle has to be more subtle, she ruminates. We don't want to alienate the sponsors, after all. Another flying V smile flies into the night unseen. The irony of global corporations appropriating ecological awareness. But it'll be a golden cow for us if we milk it right, Dan reasons. I think the biggest test of our master plan will be the cells we're releasing into the world. Especially if any more trainees go renegade. Texas Hyper Chicken, right? That group was so cavalier they need goatees. Our training never sanctions the taking of human life. As well as being morally questionable, doing that would make things just a little too hot for us right now. For now, I'm happy to destroy complacency just by digital consciousness raising. But they're drawn out of the conversation by the sight of their newly purchased mansion emerging magically moonlit around a bend in the hedge. At their approach, brass gates open automatically. The Porsche slowly scatters damp gravel as it drives past plenty of shadowy evidence of ongoing work under the moon's silver spotlight. Nests of scaffolding guard piles of bricks and sand. Tarpaulins or plastic sheeting puddled by tonight's flash showers. Plant machinery glistens, slowly darkly rusting. Although it's late summer, the air is hard and lifeless. It does look to Dan just like the setting for an indistinct but familiar ghost story, as they arrive on a gloomy soothsayer's night under a full crystalline moon, to see a mansion shrouded by the spectre of rain as clouds portend the imminent storm. A sudden wind blasting through the open windows emphasizes the promise of the coming heavenly battle. For a second a torch shines in their direction, then the guard stalks off. The car pulls up. As they walk towards the building, Dan lets his imagination fill the house and grounds with activity. Busy fluorescent ghosts move around in echoes rippling from the future. Soon it'll be full of driven people acting towards a common goal, he thinks, infiltrating the network of images and sounds which informs the world, to sow reality in there somewhere. We'll be well placed when civilization falls. And who knows, we might even be able to stop the global economy from collapsing. That'll help my investments. Sophia has nearly reached the nearest wall. Brooding under stormy, starry heavens, the mansion does have a slight Hollywood ghost asylum look to her, too, although in fact, and in the daylight, the architecture's Georgian, Baroque, and very delicate in places. In the moonlight, it's midnight blue, like a mausoleum. It's better in daylight. It has an almost golden hue in sunlight. And it's their home now, so hopefully it won't prove to be an asylum. As a psychologist, Sophia would be interested to find out if the mansion's more fulfilling her fantasy or Dan's. Dan shouts across to Sophia, "It's a fantastic building, isn't it? A fine kennel for some old aristocratic family, I'm sure. Should look great when it's buzzing with life and earning its price." Sophia moves along a path next to the building, peering in through windows. As if to reaffirm their hopes, Dan says to her, "It's got potential. It'll provide good scenery when we get round to filming it, too. We're not making a horror movie, are we?" "I hope not." Patting the wall, he adds, "It feels strange but gratifying using some old robber baron's stone pile to commence global democratic liberation." Sophia replies, with no sarcasm at all, "For now I'd be quite happy to say that it's a good way of doing good for lots of money." "There might be more to this even than money or power," Dan starts to say, but he discerns Sophia's dark glare in the shadows and lets his train of thought trail off towards the stars. So they walk now quietly along the path between the walls and lawn, occasionally attempting to look through the glass. As they round the corner, they see hundreds of candles speckled on the lawn, some of them still lit. "I thought it would be a nice welcome for us in our first night in our new home, so..." Sophia interrupts, "See, you do understand romance." "Yeah, I know how much you appreciate champagne and caviar and the butler's night off too." He winks, unseen. "That would be funny if we had a butler," she smiles. They both laugh. Upon the tender touch of the first raindrops, she shivers in her almost real lab-grown ermine. The drops are followed by lightning and thunder like the crackling of an ancient shout of war carried by the wind across the valley and out across the world. As they hurry up the driveway, intensifying waves of rain crash against stone and skin. A guardian stone sphinx and a Planet TV hawk flank the reception doors that Dan pushes hard open. The guard at the desk is watching sumo wrestling on a monitor. He smiles as his bosses enter. "They said you might be moving in here tonight," Fred says. "There's no support staff in yet though. There are just you two, me and Charlie, and all the people in the anthrax research lab, whatever you've really got over there at the far end." "You're paranoid, Fred," Dan says. "They're film school students. Good night." "Where did we get you from, Fred?" Sophia says as the couple begin to climb their red-carpeted stairway.